who will play on Championship Sunday. The AFC and NFC Championships have been determined, and I believe we got the right teams in the AFC and NFC Championships this season. Now, there was one upset out of the 4 games, obviously the Tennessee Titans over the Baltimore Ravens, but today's games provided for some great entertainment. Both were very exciting. We saw an epic day from Patrick Mahomes with a comeback of the ages versus the Houston Texans in the first half. The Russell Wilson almost epic comeback versus the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers reclaiming his place in the NFC Championship game. And he will travel back to California to play the San Francisco 49ers. And of course, we're going to get the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Tennessee Titans. The Packers defeated the Seahawks 28-23, and the Chiefs defeated the Texans 51-31 in one of the most exciting divisional Sundays that I can remember. This was a really exciting day for football. It was an awesome day for football. If you're a fan, if you were watching both these games, I'm sure you had fun. And it's just a reminder, man, that nothing could beat the NFL right now. It's just next level entertainment, next level excitement. And we had some great games today. So I'm going to dive deep into the Packers and Seahawks game and the Chiefs and Titans game today. And I'm going to give you what I thought on all the teams involved, all the big plays, all the big reffing decisions. We'll get to all of that. I'll also get to your comments and see what your opinion is. And then I will answer any of the questions you have going into the next round, the NFC and the AFC Championship. Before that, and before I dive into these games, make sure that you do Gronk spike the like button, subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL videos and recaps just like this. Also, comment below your opinion. As I stated, I want to hear from you guys. Whether you're live or you're watching this after the fact, let me know what you thought of these games today. Let me know if you saw any big weaknesses that potentially teams that they're playing could take advantage of. Maybe you saw something in the Packers that would fare well for the 49ers. Maybe you saw something in the Chiefs that maybe the Titans have the chance of the upset. Or maybe you really like the Chiefs and the Packers going into the next round. Let me know in the comment section below, and any comment you have about the games that took place today. Okay, so where I'm going to start here is the game that just took place, and that's the Seahawks and the Packers. 28-23, the Packers defeated the Seattle Seahawks. And the Packers, for most of the game, dominated, but it really did look like around the start of the fourth quarter, I would say around the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter, it looked like the Seahawks might be able to make this full comeback. Because at a certain point, I think Green Bay was up like 28-10, something like that. And then they were able to score 14 straight, Seattle was, get back into the game, and make it an epic finish. And where I want to start here is with the play that I think everybody's going to be talking about, and that is, of course, the ref decision to call it a first down, not to call it a first down. I think a lot of people are curious about that. So when I first saw the play happen, and if you don't know what play I'm talking about, Aaron Rodgers throws the ball to Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham appears to be short. That's how I saw it, at least, on the first look at the actual play. It looked like Jimmy Graham was short. And then, they spotted it a yard above the marker. So I was like, okay, I guess he was closer to the first down marker than I thought. So they go over the review because it's a big play in the game. It would have forced a fourth down. It was a third down. It would have forced a fourth down and 1 instead of just giving the first down. And this play basically determined the entire game because if the Packers get the first down, the game is over. Seahawks can't stop the clock. if the Packers get stopped, the Seahawks have a chance to get the ball back or at least force the Packers into a 4th and short conversion. I think he was short. Personally, it looked like he was clearly short after looking back at it a couple of times. And I thought he was short initially, the way that I saw it. But I don't want to take anything away from the Packers in their win by saying this, because I do think the Packers were the better team in this game. And I don't think that this was the sole reason that any team would lose a football game, and I don't believe that this was the sole reason the Seahawks lost this game. So I don't really want to put too much of an emphasis on this play. But from where I stood and where I was sitting watching this on the TV, it looked like he was short. And I think he was short. And most of Twitter will agree that he was short. So Seahawks fans, that kind of sucks because you'll never know what would have happened on potentially 4th and short. You never know what would have happened if the Seahawks would have gotten the ball back. That sucks. But that's not the reason the Seahawks lost this game. That's not the reason the Packers won this game. Let's get that straight. Okay, let's go over the stats. Let's go over the big plays. Let's go over the big performances of the game. Starting off with the winning team, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, 16 for 27, 243, and 2 touchdowns. Rodgers was sacked twice. He had a 113.7 passer rating in the game. I thought Rodgers was pretty good. This wasn't the best game I've ever seen from Aaron Rodgers. He has high standards, especially in Lambeau Field. In the playoffs, you expect him to make special plays. He did make a fair amount of good plays. He was the better quarterback of the two early in the game. I'd say Wilson, because of the circumstances he was put in, was the better quarterback late, where he was having to force it and make plays. And Wilson, we'll get to him, was certainly fantastic in that area. But Aaron Rodgers, I thought he took care of the ball first and foremost, especially in this type of game. Rodgers was probably looking at this and saying, we're the more talented team. We're at home. We're probably going to win if I don't turn the ball over, so let's take care of the ball. A lot of times, if something wasn't open for Rodgers, he would throw the ball away, he would throw it short to his receiver, or just simply, get rid of the ball somehow, maybe scramble a little bit. He did run 5 times for 14 yards. So first and foremost, Rodgers protected the ball. He did have a few throws in this game, particularly the last drive where he threw just a dime to Davante Adams. He had a few of those type of throws where it was just a fantastic placement, fantastic accuracy. A couple of them were on the run. A couple of them were escaping pressure. I don't remember. I think it might have been to Adams as well, but it was a 3rd down and 9, and I believe it was one of the last drives of the game where he had to basically pull back, and Rodgers is so good at this, not being able to set his feet. He pulls back and basically throws off his back foot for a 1st down. He made a lot of plays that don't necessarily look as sexy as the ones that Russell Wilson made in this game, but just the slight little things that he was able to do, escaping the pressure or delivering off of platform, I think that was the impressive part about Aaron Rodgers. It wasn't perfect for their offense today, and he made it happen. And let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers this season has not had a ton of support around him. Aaron Jones is a solid running back. Davante Adams is a beast at wide receiver. But really, I've been saying all season, I said it in the preseason, I said it coming into this season, they don't have anyone outside of Adams that scares you in the passing game. And Rodgers, even with that, and Adams had a great game, we'll get into that, but even with that, he was still good enough to make it happen. I don't think this is the type of Packers team, or they're not going to be relying on Aaron Rodgers to be a guy that's going to have to throw 40 times for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns because they don't have the personnel around him at wide receiver. They are more built on now with Matt LaFleur to run the football, set up the play action, and take the shots when they need to, and Rodgers will come up with a few clutch plays and throws throughout the course of a game to get them the advantage. And I thought that's where Rodgers was at his best. Now, running the football, Aaron Jones. I don't think it was the most successful day for Jones or for Williams. Williams actually only touched the ball once on the ground today and only caught 1 pass, which is kind of rare because typically you see more of a split between Jones and Williams. Maybe because it's a playoff game, they decided to just ride Aaron Jones. But Jones had 21 carries for 62 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and 1 catch for 4 yards. Solid day. I think where he was at his best was in the red zone, powering his way into the end zone, just getting those tough yards when they needed to get them in the first half, in the red zone, and not a sexy stat line from Aaron Jones, but a solid game. It was good enough to get the win. Receiving-wise, Jimmy Graham had 3 catches for 49 yards. Talk about revenge game. You know, we're going to talk about if that was short, wasn't short, whatever. Okay, Jimmy Graham, I felt good for him to get that catch to seal the deal because this is his former team, a fan base in Seattle that I don't think really liked him very much at the end of things, and he went to Green Bay, and in this game, he was their second best receiver behind Davante Adams, and he made a couple of crucial plays in this game for Aaron Rodgers to secure the win. Now, Davante Adams was the man. I mean, when you look at the other guys catching the ball, Jamal Williams had 1 catch, Aaron Jones had 1 catch, Valdez-Scantling had 1 catch, all for under 10 yards. Allison had 1 catch for 11 yards. Sternberger had 1 catch for 2 yards. This was the Davante Adams show. 8 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 targets. Davante Adams was making whoever was covering him, and most of the time it was Griffin, making him look like a fool. This guy, to quote Stephon Gilmore, has the best release in football. And when Stephon Gilmore says you have the best release in football, I think I believe you, right? Davante Adams had an awesome game. The guy is a really, really good route runner. And no, he's not the fastest guy, but he has such a great chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, such a great change of pace in his routes, and he's just really good at just the craftiness at the line of scrimmage to find his way to get the advantage off the line, and then to change the speed up and the quickness to get through his breaks. And Davante Adams made some really big plays in this game. 2 touchdowns. A couple of them were deep down the field. He made that huge, crucial 3rd down conversion late in the game. And I cannot stress enough that this guy is an elite receiver. He's a top 5 option in the game today, and he continues to prove it. And even though he's the only option on this team, and you know Rodgers wants to go to him, he's still making plays. And that's when the best players make the biggest plays. When you know they're getting the football and you just can't stop it. That's what Davante Adams is doing right now. I will say this for Seattle. I don't understand their game plan when it comes to covering Davante Adams. I do not understand why. Okay, sure, early on in the game, if you're going to let him catch the football, you're going to test out the one-on-one and see how he does and see how he fares. That's fine. But when he's continuing to beat you over and over again in the first half, you need to make the adjustments in the second half to double him, to do whatever to take him out of the game. Because he is Aaron Rodgers' go-to guy in every single situation. And the fact is that you can't let Rodgers be comfortable, especially a great quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. You need to make him go somewhere else with the football, especially considering that the Green Bay Packers do not have the best supporting cast in the world, as I already brought up. So to me, this was a major flaw and a huge reason the Seattle Seahawks lost this game, because they let Davante Adams go off. They gave him an opportunity to win his matchup and therefore have a great game and allow the Packers to win. Don't allow yourself to lose. Before you can win, you cannot lose. And to me, the Packers, they won because of Adams, but the Seahawks lost because they failed to have a game plan for the best weapon on the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers' favorite guy. That's inexcusable from a coaching perspective. You cannot let this guy go off. I think this is a terrible, terrible, terrible mistake. You know, if Adams is beating double teams, then okay, sure, he's just that good. But I'm not going to just let him have one-on-ones all day long and just let him go off. I'm not doing it. So Adams, credit him for a fantastic game, but also understand that the Seahawks majorly effed up. Okay. I do want to go to the defense for the Packers. Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith both had very good games, specifically in the first half of this game. Preston Smith, 2 sacks. Zadarius Smith, 2 sacks. Kenny Clark, a sack. And what did I say in the preview? I mean, these are the 3 stalwarts for this defense. These are the 3 guys that are going to cause fits for Russell Wilson. And that's exactly the reason why the Packers were able to get out to this lead. Because it's not like the Packers defense, is absolutely stellar, but their pass rush is their strongest aspect to their defense. And the fact that you had Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith and Kenny Clark getting constant rush and pressure after Russell Wilson, eventually those are going to become negative plays, and then you're going to just get the ball back for Aaron Rodgers. So those guys were excellent. I do think they wear down in the second half because they're having to constantly chase Russell Wilson around. I will say I don't love the approach to the way that they were pass rushing Wilson, specifically in the second half. I don't really understand why, I know it's hard, Russell Wilson's a beast and all that, but don't you have to have a plan to keep him in the pocket? Especially if you're worn out, especially. You don't want him extending plays. That's where Wilson creates his magic. That's where the Seahawks create their big plays down the field. Is that when Wilson's able to escape past the tackle box and become a threat to throw the ball down the field to one of his receivers. It makes your corners cover longer. It wears out your pass rush. And really, it just stretches, if you're playing zone, it stretches your zones thin. It makes man-to-man coverage just tire out, and you can't cover forever. So to me, if you're not getting to the quarterback in the second half, I think you need to change your plan up. The Packers were fortunate that their offense came through because it did not look like the Packers were going to be able to stop them if it came down to a last drive for the Seahawks. So I think they did become a little bit fortunate there, but credit those 3 guys for having some big days and totaling 5 sacks on Russell Wilson. Probably should have been about 10. If this is just a guy that's a pocket quarterback and not a savvy guy that can move around within the pocket or escape pressure outside the pocket, with this offensive line in front of Russell Wilson, this might be 10 sacks. I mean, this might have been pure domination. This game would have been over far before it was over. And I'll get into Russell Wilson in a sec. I do think Jari Alexander had a pretty good game for the most part. And other than that, Darnell Savage did get banged up. Not much else to be said. Their run defense was solid, though. They made some plays in run defense. The run D for the Packers was a lot better than it has been traditionally throughout the season. They held Marshawn Lynch to 12 rushes for 26 yards. So that's 2.2 yards per carry. The only rushes that the Seahawks seemed to have was scrambles by Wilson, 7 for 64. And Travis Homer only had 3 carries for 13 yards. Let's start there, actually. Why is Travis Homer getting 3 carries for 13 yards when he's been the far more effective runner of the 2 guys, him or Marshawn Lynch? Doesn't make sense to me. Marshawn gets 12 carries for 26 yards and 2 touchdowns. I understand those were in the red zone. But Travis Homer should have been the primary ball carrier. In this game, he carried for 4.3 yards per carry. Throughout the last couple of games, he's been having, pretty good success on a per carry basis. And he's also the better pass catcher. To me, it doesn't really make sense that Marshawn Lynch, the old guy who doesn't look very explosive or fast, be the lead ball carrier. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me, and I don't think it paid off for Seattle. Russell Wilson, 21 for 31, 277, and a touchdown. He was sacked 5 times. He also ran 7 times for 64 yards and had a 106.5 passer rating. Wilson, serious? Sirens? Wilson was really, really good in this game. I'm not going to fault Russell Wilson whatsoever. He was the only reason this game was competitive and close for the most part. I don't think there was any other bigger reason why this game was competitive. Maybe you could point to Tyler Lockett, but that's also a product of what Russell Wilson was able to do. The amount of sacks he escaped, the amount of plays he extended, the amount of dots he was throwing down the field, he was incredible. And just, again, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He might be, in terms of, I know the MVP of the NFL doesn't go to the MVP, But and what I mean by that, it usually doesn't go to the most valuable player. Russell Wilson might truly be the most valuable player, right? I think Lamar Jackson was the best player this year and had the most statistical and team success, so he's going to win the MVP award. But Wilson might have been the biggest, most valuable player. Because I've said it over and over again, this team is not a team that on paper should be going to the playoffs. This is not a team that should be going to the divisional round. This is not a team that should be within 5 points of the number 2 seed in the NFC. And all of that is because of Russell Wilson and how special he is and how good he is and how great of a quarterback he is. And even with this, it might suck because I don't know if Wilson's ever going to get the team again where he could possibly go to the Super Bowl. And we're running out of years where he's going to be in his prime. If it's not going to happen within the next 2 years, it's never going to happen because I don't know how much longer Wilson can sustain this level of play. He's gotten better and better and better. He's been one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the game, I would say, since 2015. And this season, again, had a fantastic year. He's certainly one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the game. And I just hope he gets a team around him that's a little bit better next year and the next coming years, because I don't think you'll be able to do it with the team the way it's currently constructed. All right. Tyler Lockett, 9 for 136 and a touchdown, led the way for the Seahawks through the air. Lockett's a really crafty player. 9 catches on 10 targets. Again, just a very efficient guy with Russell Wilson as well. Has great chemistry with Wilson. Very hard to stick with in those extended play scenarios because he's so fast and so quick and is so well conditioned that players like this will thrive with Russell Wilson. DK Metcalf had a relatively quiet game. I think most of that had to do with the fact that Alexander was covering him for a large part of it, 4 for 59. Still made some plays, but not nearly as many as last week. Jacob Hollister had a pretty good game, 5 catches for 47 on 6 targets. Still frustrated that the Patriots traded him, by the way. Other than that, I mean, Homer had 2 catches and Luke Wilson had 1. Defensively, again, don't understand the Adams game plan. Other than that, though, I mean, we knew the Seahawks defense was not a very talented unit. Wright had a half a sack. Clowney had a half a sack. Griffin had a sack. I think if you're a Seahawks fan, you just wish that they would have woken up a little bit earlier in the game. You know, they were starting to get stops in the second half. And sometimes versus the Packers, I've noticed a trend where the Packers start the game very well because they're a very good scripting offense. But once they kind of run out of those money plays to go to, they don't become as effective down the stretch of the game. And the Seahawks did give an opportunity for a comeback here. Their defense did give Russell Wilson an opportunity for a comeback. So credit them for that. I thought Clowney had a solid second half. Wagner was quiet in this one. I think they just struggled to make plays. The Griffin sack that they had was a huge play to potentially have them complete the comeback, but it just ultimately didn't happen. They need to upgrade their secondary going into next year. They need to add probably another guy on the defensive line. And then I think they'll be fine. I think this defense can improve going into next year because it has good linebacking play. It needs to improve in the secondary. It needs to add depth up front. But they already acquired Jadeveon Clowney. They spent a first-round pick on the defensive line. They have Jerron Reed, some interesting role players in the interior of their line, but I do feel like they need that extra difference maker on the defensive line to create pressure. Because remember, when the Seahawks defense was truly great, they were able to create that pressure, and they just weren't able to today with consistency. Rodgers had time, and even when Rodgers couldn't find someone to throw to, most of the time it was because of the coverage and not actually the pass rush. That's the frustrating part about the Seahawks defense. Myers cost them a huge kick in the game. He was 1 for 2. A lot of people will forget about the kick that he missed, but that was a huge field goal that could have helped them narrow the game at the end of things. Other than that, I mean, I think it basically came down to this. The Packers were the better team at the line of scrimmage. They ran the ball better. They got after the quarterback better, and I think that's the reason they won at the end of the day. I think the quarterbacks both played well, and Adams and Lockett on both sides had a good game. And again, I said it from the beginning, the Seahawks, they couldn't continue to push their luck with coming from behind to win games. Versus good teams, you're not going to be able to do that. And that's ultimately what happened. So those are my thoughts on the Packers game. Let's get to the chat real quick, and then we'll get to the Chiefs game. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure that you do Gronk Spike the like button, please. Thank you. And subscribe to the Bottom Line View if you haven't already. Okay, let's get to the comments. Okay. Jake Stone, I look forward to this Bottom Line View. I hope you're enjoying, Jake. Turtle says the Titans beat the Chiefs. Kansas City needs to be scared. Kevin Durkant says that was Mahomes' first game back from injury, and he dropped 450 yards. Yeah, he did versus the Titans the first time. That will be an interesting game next week. Strizzles says Devontae is a top 3 receiver. Crow says the Ravens. Yeah, I'm not going to read that. A Human says the Chiefs ain't going to be ready for Derrick Henry. Hype says the Niners are going to shut down the Packers. Tannehill is unstoppable, Mitch, says Deshaun. Run CMC says Chiefs Super Bowl 54 champions. I called it. Run CMC says reports Mahomes will get a contract extension over $40 million annually. Yes, good point. What I want to say about this is, I said this earlier in the day. I don't think I tweeted it publicly, but I said it privately to my group with Kevol and Dylan. And I was saying, you know, I think this is Mahomes' best chance to win a Super Bowl, because when you really think about it, the competition isn't that strong this year. You know, like the 49ers are a great team, but I think it's been stronger in the years past with really, truly elite teams. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but the Ravens, the number 1 seed, the best team in the league during the regular season, was taken out in their first game. So to me, that tells me that the elite team this year wasn't truly there. Second, he has a great supporting cast around him, an improved defense, a great supporting cast offensively, good offensive line, good receivers, great tight end, all of that. Has a very good coach, and he's basically in his prime of his career, right? So I think this is Mahomes' best opportunity to win the Super Bowl. And if he doesn't this year and ends up going on to sign a contract that big, it's going to hurt his chances to go on to win Super Bowls. Because when a quarterback makes that much money, you can't spend as much to help your quarterback win. Ask Russell Wilson. Adams versus Sherman will be fun, says Rick Badboy. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Hype B says, don't compare Texans' horrible defense to Titans' defense. Deshaun says, George Kittle, eat Devontae Adams up next Sunday. George Kittle doesn't play against Devontae Adams, but I mean, sure. Robot said, I swear to God, the dude on Adams on the late third down play was 4 inches shorter than him. What even is that? That's called bad matchup. Yeah, 24-point lead. They blew it. How many playoff wins does Lamar have? I'll wait, says Run CMC. Schottenheimer. I will say, I forgot to mention that. Schottenheimer needs to go. Needs to go. They need a new OC. They need something more creative in the passing game. I mean, I can't take watching another Seahawks game where their receivers just run around in circles. I don't think I can take it anymore. It seriously looks like Wilson is just running around and the Seahawks receivers are just running in a straight line. Like, I cannot take it. Disgusts me seeing a quarterback that great that is basically put in a position every single time to do everything himself. And I don't understand it. I said it in the preview. You need to let Russell Wilson just go. Just let him free. Let him fly like a bird, Nelly Furtado. They don't let him. They just hold him back constantly. They enforce and running the football over and over and over again. And then, oh yeah, we're losing by 20 points, so yeah, we'll let Russell Wilson throw now. Why isn't that your offense from the start of the game? Then maybe you'll be in the game. Did you not watch the Chiefs just beat the Texans? They ran it like 4 times, I think. Robot says Wilson with the Niners would be 19-0. Deshaun says Green Bay is going down 27-21 next week, Mitch. Gary says Mahomes, best quarterback in the NFL. I would have to agree with you there, Gary. And I've said it all year. I mean, if you guys been watching, I've still been taking Mahomes over Lamar and all that. We'll see what my quarterback rankings are after the season. I was actually thinking about that today. I was actually starting to write it down. And I was looking at, like, my top 5 is very obvious to me. And then once you get after number 5, it's like, I have no idea. It just opens up to be like, I have no idea. Lame says, go Pack, go. All right. Let's go to the other game. Mahomes magic. Mahomes mania. Mahomes the magician. Mahomes the marvelous. 51-31. Chiefs over Texans. Oh my goodness. I don't even know how to talk about this game. Okay, so first drive, Texans get the ball. 3rd down. What do the Texans do? Well, they fake it to Will Fuller in the little bubble screen. They get the go route to Kenny Stills. Chiefs mess up. Of course, Chiefs very aggressive defensively, send a blitz. And Kenny Stills is wide open for a 54-yard touchdown from Deshaun Watson. I'm like, okay, yeah. You know, that makes sense. I think the Texans are going to score a lot of points today. Makes sense to me, all right? Second drive. Mahomes throwing to his receivers. They continuously drop him. 3rd down, Kelce drops a pass. Dropping Kelce instead of catching Kelce. Drops it on 3rd down. Right? Okay, they'll punt it away. They'll get it together. You know, they'll start catching the ball. You know, maybe they're like Lamar's receivers today. Maybe they don't want to catch the ball. They punt it. It's blocked. Barkevious Mingo, the Patriot legend, blocks it. and Lonnie Johnson Jr. takes it back for a touchdown. That's an interesting twist. I didn't see that coming. 14-0 for the Texans. The next drive. Darren Fells, 4-yard touchdown from Deshaun Watson. I don't remember. Was that set up from the kick? No, that was the Texans. There was so much madness in this game, I can't remember exactly what happened. Oh, this was the Tyreek Hill one. Okay, this was the Tyreek. I remember now. Tyreek Hill, punt return. We're going to put the dangerous Tyreek Hill back as our punt returner because it's the playoffs. Okay, yeah, I saw that coming too. Like, all of this stuff was logical, but then it followed with an illogical thing that happened. So, Tyreek Hill's going to get the ball, and he muffs it. And the Texans get it, they get in a good position, and Darren Fells scores a touchdown. And then they get another field goal. By the way, a lot of people blaming Bill O'Brien for not going for it there. When it was 21-0, it's the start of the second quarter, and it was 4th and 1 maybe, in the Chiefs' territory, and instead of going for it, they kicked a 31-yard field goal. I will tell you, I would have done the same thing. I would have kicked the field goal because my process in my head would have been like, okay, at this point, it's 21-0, early second quarter. If they are going to come back, we need as many points as possible, so I would have just kicked the field goal. I don't see a huge difference. Tell me if I'm wrong here. I don't see a huge difference from going up 24-0 to going up 28-0. I don't really see that difference. A lot of people were complaining about that. I don't know. I just think that's being boneheaded, too aggressive. I just take the 31-yard field goal if I'm the Texans there. I don't disagree with Bill O'Brien's decision. Okay, after that, the Chiefs' offense finally starts to click. They score 4 consecutive touchdowns in the second quarter. Damian Williams, Travis Kelce, 3 times in a row. By the way, Travis Kelce basically scored the same touchdown 3 times in a row. 5-yard touchdown, 6-yard touchdown, 5-yard touchdown. And this is the thing about the Chiefs, which makes them so dangerous, and which is why I believe they could come back. You know, I was tweeting through the game, right? And the reason why I said that they would go to the Super Bowl in the AFC over the Ravens, I think they can play in different types of games. And the Chiefs are not a team where if they fall behind, they're out of a game ever, because their quick strike offense is so effective. They can score on one play. They're so dangerous. They're so explosive. It really takes a great defense and a great game plan to contain them to under 30 points, especially at home. And the Texans, they don't have either of those things. I mean, they didn't have a great game plan, and they certainly did not have the talent to do so. And I will say this. I'm not going to blame Bill O'Brien. I'm not going to blame Romeo Crennel. I'm just going to be honest. I've said it all year long. I've said it continuously. The Texans' defense is trash. It's not good. They don't have the talent. I don't know what you wanted them to do in this game that they could have done differently. From what I saw, they tried basically everything that they could do to keep this from not being a Mahomes lightning show. I mean, what could they have done? I don't know. Maybe they could have done a better job of trying to get a game plan of containing containing Mahomes, within the pocket so that maybe there's less of those big plays. But I thought they tried that. It just didn't really happen. They tried double teaming Tyreek Hill, and in certain plays he still got open. They tried, the only thing they really didn't do was double team Kelce from what I saw, other than in the red zone, and he was still able to get at least open because they took penalties on him. They took a lot of dumb penalties, holding penalties. That's player mistakes. That's not coaching mistakes. I think there's way too much heat on Bill O'Brien, and I'm not really even a big Bill O'Brien guy. I was never even a huge Bill O'Brien guy when he was in New England. I can't blame him because I don't think the defense really had what it takes to stop the Chiefs. I mean, coming into this game, I thought it would be a shootout, and honestly, if it's anyone's fault, I think it's their fault on offense for not scoring enough points. all of the points they mostly scored were from field position. I mean, I think the Chiefs defense actually played better in this game than the stats will tell you. They gave up one long touchdown to Kenny Stills. They gave up a block punt return touchdown. That's not on the defense. They gave up a muff punt within the 15 at least, maybe the 10-yard line. So that's 2 touchdowns that were because of special teams. All right? And then it's not until the late third quarter when the game is basically over where Deshaun Watson scores another touchdown. I mean, really, the defense for the Texans gave up, or the defense for the Chiefs gave up what? Really, 10 points? Or 17 points. They gave up 17 points. It says 31 there. 14 was because of the special teams. So if you look at that closer, it was the Texans' offense's fault. Because we knew coming into this game that if the Texans were going to win, let's be logical here. Let's not think that the Texans are going to somehow stop the Chiefs, because we knew that wasn't going to happen. Okay? We knew that wasn't going to. Maybe they could have done a better job of being a little bit better and not giving up bigger plays. Sure, that's fine. But when you look at the stats, I mean, Mahomes, he had 321 yards. He usually has that amount of yards. I mean, running the ball, they had okay. They didn't do anything special. They had 47 yards rushing. Really, the guy they could not stop was Travis Kelce. 10 catches for 134 yards. And 3 touchdowns. They just didn't have anyone that could guard Kelce in this game. Maybe they should have doubled Kelce more, or like I don't know what you can do. That's the bind that the Chiefs put you in. If you double Kelce, then Hill is one-on-one, and you don't want that, because who's going to beat you further down the field? It's going to be Hill. If you double Hill, Kelce's going to beat you. If you double both, potentially, you don't have enough rushers on the field to contain Watson, and then maybe he'll find Hardman or Watkins. Watkins had some big plays in this game, 2 catches for 76 yards. That is just how good the Chiefs' offense is. That's how explosive it is. That's how difficult it is to stop. 5 touchdowns. Like, as great as Mahomes was, he also has the best weapons in the league. So not only is Mahomes the best quarterback in the league, but he has the best weapons as well. That is why this offense is the best in the league. And it's also the fastest in the league. Like, really think about the Texans today. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins didn't wake up till the second half, and I know he was hurt. But 9 catches, 118 yards on 14 targets. Honestly, I think the Chiefs will say, we'll take that. I think the guy that they really wanted to stop was Will Fuller. 5 catches for 89 yards, because Will Fuller's the guy that can burn you down the field. Hopkins had a couple of big catches down the field, but besides that, it was a lot of short stuff. And Watson was having to go down the field at a constant pace. And I will say this about Watson. I think he had a good game. He played well. He had 3 touchdowns. He had over 400 total yards. He had a 95 rating. But I don't think, as good as Watson is, I don't think he's on Mahomes' level. And I kind of said this in my Who Is Better video. Watson is not as accurate. Watson doesn't have as big of an arm. Watson is not, he doesn't have that velocity or the touch on the football that Mahomes has. And I do think Mahomes on the run as a passer is better than Watson. Watson is more athletic, but Mahomes is just special in terms of finding ways to get the ball to his playmakers. And I do think where Mahomes was executing in certain plays, like, wow, how did he do that? Watson was just a little off on some of the biggest plays in the game. When he was under pressure, he wasn't able to make the same plays that Mahomes was able to make. I can't blame him, though. I'm not trying to blame him for the loss. It's just the Chiefs are the better team. They were up 24-0. And really, the fumble on the kick return, there were some crucial errors that led to the Chiefs gaining the momentum. It's a really tough game to digest because I think it was just a fluky set of circumstances that allowed the Texans to get the lead. You know what it actually reminds me of, and Ultra might be a little mad at me here? It reminded me of the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 51. The Patriots were clearly the better team, but Atlanta had a set of circumstances that went their way, which allowed them to get that huge lead. And then we saw in the second half the Patriots dominated to get the comeback. And that to me is the same way that this game kind of went. Like, we knew the Chiefs were the better team. They fell behind, but there was always that feeling of, okay, but the Chiefs are still the better team. We know this, right? And then they were able to put it together and win. And because you're the Chiefs, you're never out of the game because of the way that you're built. You're a quick strike offense. And their defense, credit them for making those stops. I think if this is the Chiefs last year, they're not able to come back in this game because they don't have the complementary defense to come back in the game. Without a Frank Clark with 3 sacks, they don't come back in the game. Without a forced fumble from Daniel Sorensen, they don't come back in the game. Without Tyrann Mathieu, who was massive in this game, covering everybody. I mean, he was covering Fuller on plays. He was covering Hopkins on plays. One-on-one as a safety. He has been a huge difference maker for them. Bashaud Breeland has been a difference maker for them this season. I think you got to credit the Chiefs' defense a ton as well, because I know there's going to be a lot of credit going towards Mahomes, as there should. He made some amazing plays in this game. And what I saw from Mahomes today, too, was the true heart and fire of a championship quarterback. After he was scoring or making a big play, he was truly firing up his team on the sidelines. When they were scoring touchdowns, he was going into crazy focused mode. And that was cool to see as well. It almost kind of seemed like this was, from the beginning, I never felt like the Texans were actually going to win. Even when it was 24-0, I still was like, I still think the Chiefs are going to win. I didn't think it would be 51-31. That is a collapse. But I still thought the Chiefs would win. Don't have much else to say. I think I brought everything up here. If I missed something, let me know. Let's get to the comments. Guys, if you haven't already, Gronk spike the like button. Subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this. All right, comments time. Oh, by the way, thanks Ultra for the donation. I appreciate it. Oh, Jimmy Johnson. That was my favorite moment of the day. Never mind Mahomes' comeback. Never mind the craziness of the Texans. Never mind Russell Wilson's magic. Never mind the Packers winning or the Jimmy Graham third down. My favorite moment of the day was not in a game. My favorite moment of the day was Jimmy Johnson getting into the Hall of Fame. They did a similar thing for Bill Cowher, but I thought Fox took it to the next level with their production. What they did was, I forgot his name, but the guy for the Hall of Fame coming out, the big dude coming out, and okay, so everybody's like, everybody in the room except for Jimmy Johnson is a Hall of Famer, so we kind of assume it's Jimmy Johnson who's getting into the Hall of Fame, right? And Fox is they have a camera on Jimmy Johnson, and they're flipping back and forth between the camera on the group and the entrance, and the camera on Jimmy. The camera on the group, the camera on Jimmy. The camera on the group, the camera on Jimmy. Jimmy's tearing up. Starting to tear up at this point. Then he gets the whole congratulations, thank you for what you've done for football. And then we start to get, from the booth, shots of Troy Aikman. And Troy Aikman is crying. Man tears. We have Jimmy Johnson crying. Everyone congratulating Jimmy. Jimmy's choking up, talking. We have Troy Aikman crying on the set. I mean, that was a great moment. That was my favorite moment of the day. More than anything else. Isaiah asks if the Cardinals have a shot next season. If you mean for the Super Bowl, I don't think so, but maybe for the playoffs. Apple Sucks says Niners versus Chiefs or Titans. Hypebeast says Henry will expose the Chiefs' defense. They really need Chris Jones back next week. Crow said Henry will expose any team. Who did it better, the Falcons or the Texans? In terms of blowing a lead, the Texans did it better. They did it in one quarter. Coach says that the Texans coaches should be gone. No adjustments. Mahomes played well. No pressure. And couldn't stop Travis Kelce. They might need to change their coach, but I don't know what... Again, going back to it, I don't know what they could have done. I think, defensively, I don't know what they could have done. I think they tried everything from what I saw. Robot Guy says this pretty much shows you the entirety of Billy O's time as a head coach. Gary says Kelce will destroy Tennessee's defense. I saw that, Michael Thomas, yeah. Rick Badboy said J.J. Watt will never get a ring as a Texan. Unfortunately, I don't think he's ever going to leave the Texans. Unless they push him out. Ultra says Jimmy G. Feels great, baby. Great line. Chiefs at home field advantage is big. Kevin says Brady's the only quarterback that can beat Mahomes in a shootout because Brady doesn't panic. Ultra, this is a new trade. That's what this season will go down as for Atlanta fans. This is a new trade. Riri says you need 3 people for Kelce. Miss Sharon says preach Mitch. Craig says Henry ran for 180 yards last time they played, and Mahomes still put up 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ridiculous. I will say Tannehill's going to have his best game yet. Because going into that game, what I believe right now is I don't believe the Chiefs will be able to stop the Titans, but I don't believe the Titans will be able to stop the Chiefs. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. That's where I'm at right now. I may change my mind. I'll have to dive deep into the game. The Titans have a good chance of winning, but I think when you run the ball versus passing the ball, most of the time the team that passes the ball wins. That's just the way the NFL works. Hello, BLV. We're on the couch together. Sorry to hear that. Edelman did get arrested, yep. He's back out on the streets, though. Living his best life. I bet Amendola dared him to do that. I'm just putting that out there. Do coverage for college football? Oh, I don't know. All right. I think I'm done. I'm getting a little sleepy here, guys. I'm going to be honest. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the recap. If you did, Gronk spike the like button and subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL. Also, guys, please, 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 please hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already and you haven't hit the notification bell and put on all notifications. Make sure that you do, because that's a big deal. Because YouTube, they be screwing up sometimes. So make sure you have that notification bell set on. You have all notifications turned on, and that's how you'll get every single Bottom Line View live stream, every single Bottom Line View upload. We'll see you soon. For sure, picks again on Wednesday. We'll have breakdowns all week long, and we'll see what other types of content I can put out through the course of the week. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's been fun again. Hope you enjoyed Divisional Round, Championship Sunday. Next week, we have Titans in Kansas City. We have the Packers in San Francisco. Peace.